In this video, we're going to model the Craftsman screwdriver base for steps 14 through 27 of activity 1.3.4 CAD modeling skills. And we're going to make sure that CAD modeling skills is the active project. We're going to select new, and we're going to select a standard IPT to start this off. I'm going to go ahead and start off by selecting Start 2D Sketch, and I'll choose the top plane or the XZ plane to make that happen. Notice your view cube may be set up like this. I'm actually going to rotate it so that way I can actually read the word top, just like how it's being shown here from left to right and everything as such. I'm actually going to go up here and grab the polygon tool from the rectangle drop down menu. We're going to create a circumscribed pentagon, so five sides. I'm going to click on the center, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to set it up kind of like this. I'm just going to click to set the shape and say done. We're going to go ahead and choose the horizontal constraint, and we're going to choose the bottom line, that way that it's nice and straight for us. And we're going to dimension the bottom line to have a dimension of 1.125. And that's going to give us a fully constrained sketch to start off with. Let's go ahead and finish the sketch. And with that, we're going to extrude a distance of 0.0625. We are going to apply a taper angle. So notice how down here for taper A, and it's going to be a 10-degree taper. Notice how it's flaring out. For us to set that, either we can reverse it by utilizing the flip, or we could type in -10 degrees, and that would also apply that taper. I'm going to go ahead and select OK. To continue building this, I'm actually going to go up, and for the default, we're just going to go ahead and look at what color. We got dark red, and actually I think I just want to go down. There's actually just a red color. There we go. Most of the Craftsman screwdrivers today are, the screwdriver cases are going to be red, and some of the images, they were blue in older models. So we're going to go ahead and work with red since that's the most current one that they have. With that, I'm going to go ahead and extrude. I'm going to choose the top face of this. Notice how one of the things that will happen, and I'll show this here, is that sketch 2, what we're going to do is, I'm going to delete this right now, is if I tried to click extrude and tried to pick this face, you'll notice that Start 2D Sketch appears. So if I select that, you'll notice that there's what happens. In order to pick out the edges of this, I'm just going to go ahead and use the Project Geometry tool and click inside the shape and say Finish. So without having to redraw, and now it's going to automatically pick up the extrusion, we're going to make it 0.75, and we want to set a taper angle of -10 degrees to be able to make that happen. And so the one thing is that we can always check, as you notice this kind of absorbed here a little bit. In the extrusion one, just to show you how to go back and edit, I'm going to right click on extrusion one and say edit feature, and actually this degree taper angle should be a -45. So you're going to see that happen, and then now you're going to see this is going to kind of appear there. Okay, so again, editing features really easy, but going back and forth and being able to utilize some of those. All right, we're going to go ahead and go up here to plane. We can choose offset plane. I'm going to select the top face of the screwdriver. We're going to go ahead and make this 0.125. Select the green check mark. And what we're going to end up doing is I'm going to actually going to create two sketches here. I'm going to start a 2D sketch on this face down below, and all I'm going to do is project the geometry of that top face and finish the sketch. So that way I've got one that I can kind of work with, and I'm also going to create another sketch on this work plane. Let me rotate this here. Now we just want to check to make sure. I'm going to use the line tool, and I want to make sure that from the midpoint of this line down to this point that we're going to get an intersection that connects between and goes right through the origin. So again, right here, midpoint, you'll see a green dot show up when you're on it. I'm going to go right down here to this corner and make sure that when I'm on top of it, I should get that snap point right there. Should be good. I'm going to right click and say OK. I'm going to press the L key to run the line command once more, and I'm just going to continue to go around to see that, hey, I might, and again, we might have to just double check some of these measurements on this, but you're going to notice that, yep, there's that midpoint. Go to there. So that was good. So that was one of the things that's kind of nice to be able to make sure that do you have the correct measurements and working through some of those things. So what we're going to do here is I'm actually going to select, I'm going to hold down Control and select multiple lines. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to toggle these to construction lines. With this, I'm going to grab the center point circle, choose the center, draw this out. We're going to make this diameter 1.10, and we're going to finish the sketch. So we just want to make sure, again, the center is directly where it should be. I'm going to choose the loft command. Here it's going to say we're going to utilize the join, and it's looking for sections to add. So I'm going to click, and it says to select a sketch. So I'm actually going to either, I can pick it from the browser, or I can pick it from the graphics. So I'm actually going to zoom in here, and you can actually pick it from here on the edge. You'll notice it's going to pick that outline, or it says the edges, and then I'll say click to add, and it says click to add a sketch, and I'm going to choose that one. Now you're going to see it's not quite going to pick that up because it's looking for, it's got two different profiles to kind of pick from. You can pick up for this outside edge or the center. So I'm actually going to click right here for the circle and kind of see what happens. Notice how usually if we do this right, it should pick up what we have going on. So if we don't have that kind of happening, I can actually kind of make a little bit of a selection here, and notice how I can select the edges, and if I don't want that, I can always say delete, click to add. Let me grab sketch 4 over here. There we go. Now we're seeing all those edges kind of connect and make that loft, and that's what we're looking for. So select OK. I'm actually going to hide this work plane by right clicking on it and selecting visibility. And the thing that we're going to do next, once we end up having that, is we're going to fillet the edges. I'm going to choose the fillet command, and we're going to set a 0.2 value for that, and we're going to fillet these edges right here. So there should be 5 total. If I need to rotate around, we can do that. But here we got a 0.2 fillet on all of those, and I can select OK. Then I want to go ahead and start a 2D sketch on the circle face. I'm going to go ahead and project the geometry of that circle. Just finish the sketch. That way when we extrude, we're just going to pick that up. We're going to extrude that to be 0.5, and it's going to have a -2 degree taper angle being applied, and we'll go ahead and say OK. We're going to fillet the edge on here, the top edge. This is going to be a value of, I can always change it here or in the little quick access, 0.03125. Just put a little bit of a round on there and select OK. Just to show you what we can do here is we can actually go into, I can rotate downward, and I can use the shell command. The shell command, the thickness, we can go to 0.06, and if I choose the bottom portion and say OK, there's what the shell will do, is it will hollow everything out and give it a thickness, the outside wall thickness of 0.06. So I don't really want to do that yet, so I'm actually going to go over to my browser, and I want to right click on it, and I want to say delete. And so that way that I can kind of do that. So what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to extrude the bottom. So I want to go ahead and start 2D sketch, select the bottom face. I'm going to project the face like this, so notice how I can get some edges. I actually want it when it highlights the outside edges, click. Finish the sketch. Let's extrude. That's going to extrude the bottom down 0.0625, and we're going to have a 3 degree taper, positive taper, to flare out to give us a little bit more of a steady base on this, and then we'll go ahead and say OK. For the top, we're going to add some holes. I'm going to go ahead and start 2D sketch on the top face here, the circle face. Right in the center, I'm going to do a center point circle. As I'm drawing, I'm just going to go ahead and make this diameter of 0.25. Notice how it's going to be fully constrained once I say OK. It says it down here in our menu. I'm going to finish the sketch. I'm going to extrude. We're going to be removing material, so we're going to do our Boolean operation. and we're going to be 1.325 with a taper angle of -2. And we're going to go ahead and select OK. If I rotate around, I'll be able to see down into there and see where the hole is and how it tapers in. And what we're going to do next is create our next set of features. So I'm going to start 2D sketch, click on the top face of our screwdriver base. I'm going to click on circle, choose the origin as the center. This is going to be a 0.688 diameter circle. And actually, I'm going to select right click and select OK. I'm going to right click on the circle and select construction. So we're going to use this as a help to locate what we're going to put our other holes at. So I'm actually going to choose the center point circle. Right above, right here on this circle, I'm going to click to set the center. And the diameter of these are going to be 0.125. Notice how, if I select OK, this is still not constrained. So if I try to click and drag, I can actually move it along this particular circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select the vertical constraint, select the center of this top circle, and select the origin to lock it into place. Now I can go ahead and finish the sketch. Extrude. I'm going to select that circle up here. We're going to have a depth of 0.5. We're going to be removing material, and we're going to have a -2 degree taper angle, and select OK. And that'll put that hole in. In our pattern tools, we're going to select circular. We're looking for features, so I'm going to actually go over here and select the hole. You could also select extrusion 6 from the browser if you wanted. And then rotation axis. I actually have to click on the red arrow here, and I'm actually going to select this outside edge, or you can even choose around this circle, but even around the outside edge of this, it'll find the center of that. So if you notice, the center is going right through that middle hole, and we're going to have 5 holes being patterned in our orientation, and we can just go ahead and select OK, and that's going to center circular pattern around the center for our features. Our next thing is going to be to shell this. So we're going to apply that same shell thickness. Notice how it kept the number in here. And I'm actually going to select the bottom face to do that and select OK. If you look at the bottom, you can see how the feature looks. So with all those, click on the home button for the view cube. The last thing here is going to be, I'm going to start 2D sketch on this front face, and we're going to add some text. So I'm going to go up here to the text command, and I'm going to draw a rectangle to represent the text. We're going to put in craftsman for the name, and we can always change some of the text size. I'll say OK, kind of see what we've got going on here. I'm going to right click to say OK to stop running the text tool. And I can kind of drag this out a little bit. If I need to reposition, I can click and drag on the text. I'm actually going to go ahead and double click on the text to edit it. If I highlight this, the height of it's at 0.12. If we go to 0.1 and say OK. So not only that, I can also fix some things like some of the spelling. And I can kind of position and place this where I want. I can actually kind of dimension where I would want it to be. I'm just going to kind of eyeball what I want, and this looks pretty good with where it's at. I'll go ahead and finish the sketch. You can either choose, in this case we're going to utilize the emboss tool. The emboss tool is looking for a profile, so I'm actually going to select the text on here. Emboss is going to create raised lettering, which is what we're looking for. So the depth, we're going to go ahead and put 0.002. And for the color of the top face appearance, I'm going to click on this and choose, rather than having that to be red, let's go ahead and go with white, because that's what that looks like. And I can go ahead and say OK. And it automatically, the emboss is going to get applied with that color on the faces. And there we go. So this video finishes out the Craftsman screwdriver base for activity 1.3.4 CAD modeling skills. Make sure you save your file here. And in the next video, we'll take a look at some of the tools that you can use to verify measurements as well as some of the other details of your design.